Hello everybody, Data Pioneer here with the Linux Unix Tech channel, and today on the channel we're going to continue on with part 2 of the two-part series on Debian12, which is Debian12 Bookworm. And if you haven't watched video 1, you need to go back and watch that, because I do a system setup and show you how to do a checksum on the file when you download it to make sure it's a complete file and not corrupt. And then loading it into Virtual Machine Manager, which is my hypervisor of choice. But in this video, part 2, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the product review of Debian12. So we're going to check it out, and we're going to do that right after this. Okay, so we are at the login screen now, and so let me go ahead and click on that. And before I enter the password, let's look down here in the lower right hand corner. There's a gear. If I click on it, it shows you a list of options that you can select from. I'm on the GNOME 43 desktop right now by default. I'm going to leave it there, but you have options like GNOME Classic on Xorg, GNOME on Xorg, so you've got the Classic or the regular. And then you've got Plasma X11 and Plasma Wayland. So you can switch to the Wayland window manager as well, as opposed to X11. All right, so let's just go ahead and log in. Hit the enter key there, and let's log into the system. And here we are. So this is the Debian12 Bookworm desktop. And if you click on the desktop itself, it zooms in. I like that. Zooms in so that you can work with it as a regular desktop. If you click the Activities button here in the upper left-hand corner, it comes back and displays the bottom panel. All right, so let's let me do something here. Let's go up to Appearance, and let me change the background imagery or the UI colors. I like the dark. If there's a dark available, here it is up here. The style. We're on the default light right now, but let's click the dark and click the dark. It's just easier on my eyes. You can switch back to light if you don't like it. So this is the default, and this is the dark style, if you will. Let me go ahead and close that. And so now we're back to the desktop here. Let's go back to the Activities and display that bottom panel. Take a look at what we have. I like this desktop. You've got 2 windows here already, 2 workspaces out of the box. So if you've got working with one, you can shift over and shift to another one. I like that. All right, so let's look at the bottom panel. You've got Firefox. This is the Firefox Extended Service Release. So it's probably going to be an older version of Firefox. You've got Evolution Mail, which I used to use. I don't use anymore. I use a web-based mail. LibreOffice Writer, and probably LibreOffice is an older version as well, because in Debian, you know, Debian is Debian stable, so it's stable for a reason. Stable because it uses old, tried and true versions of software. So, you know, the Firefox ESR and the LibreOffice suite itself is going to be probably aged. We'll take a look at that here in a moment. You've got Files, and that's the Files file manager. You've got Software Center. We'll take a look at the Software Center. You've got help functionality here, and then you've got your application display. All right, so let's go back to the Firefox ESR, and let's click on it and open that up and see what we have. And here it is. This is Firefox Extended Service Release. And let's just go to a website here. Let's go to Debian.org and see if we can bring that up. Yeah. Okay, so that's pretty responsive. Let's go up to the Pancake here menu and come down to Help and About Firefox and see what version we have. It looks like the extended support, I said service, but it supports extended support release is 102.120 ESR 64-bit. I don't know what the current version of the ESR is, but I know the current version of Firefox is 114. So this is probably fairly well behind, even in the extended support release. So we've got older software here in the browser. So and as I mentioned, Debian12 is stable for a reason. And this has been tested many times over many months or years, and so that's why it's available as the default in Debian12 Bookworm. All right, so let's go back out here to activities, and we're going to leave that up, and let's come over to LibreOffice Writer and bring that up. And here we are. It came up fairly quickly, very responsive. I like that. And so we're in the Writer, but there's an entire suite, of course. You've got Impress and you've got Calc and such. But let's come up and look at Help and About LibreOffice, so we can see what version we have here. And it looks like it is version 7.4.5.1. I think the current version of LibreOffice is 7.5. In fact, I believe that the developers of Debian12 Bookworm urge their users not to use anything less than the 7.5 version, which is the latest version. So that's odd that they would keep the 7.4.5.1 in there if they're saying that they don't want users to use anything less than 7.5, I guess for security reasons. But anyway, later on in this video, I'll show you how you can replace LibreOffice with the Flatpak version. We'll be able to access Flatpak repository and actually uninstall what we have and install a later version, 7.5, using Flatpak. All right, so let's go ahead and close this and close LibreOffice Writer. And I can go ahead and close the browser for now. Let's come back up to Activities and click it. Come back down to the panel. We've got the software. Well, we've got the files. I didn't show you that. We have the files, which this looks pretty good. It's pretty responsive. And what do we have here? Let's click on that. Click Help. And got help functionality here. And we don't have an About. That we need to look at an About. See what version we have. About files. So sorry about that. Here we got GNOME Project 43.2. So it's based on the GNOME project, and obviously, and so it is the files file manager, and it is a version of the 43 GNOME desktop that we have, which is 43.2. So pretty good. So this is fairly recent. Looks like a typical file manager. You can expand it, and it can do various things. You can like open up the downloads folder here. Let's click on that. There's nothing there. Music, pictures, nothing there. Videos, home. Go back to home, and you can do other locations. And so this gives us an opportunity to go out and look at things beyond even our local area network. You can look at you can look at a NAS if you have a NAS running, and do that kind of stuff. All right, so let's go back to home here. Let's close the file manager. I prefer PCman FM myself, so I would put PCman FM on here. So activities, go back here to the panel and click on software. And we've got the software center. So if we needed to update our system, we could click updates up here. And we've already done that. So, but let's go ahead and click updates and see if there are any. No, it says it's up to date. All right, so let's go back to Explore. And so we are looking at the Software Center. We've got several categories. We've got Create, we've got Work, Play, Socialize, Learn, Develop. And then we've got Editor's Choice, which is clocks, files, and photos. So let's just click on Work and see what we have. So it's bringing up the Work category now and loading it for us. Here we go. So we've got 4Pane, Abbey Word, Actiona, we've got Activity Journal, Akira, Alarm Clock, various ones. I'm not going to go through all of these. Anti-spam, We've got apostrophe and application finder. We've got Arc Storage Explorer, and we have Arc. If you scroll down, we've got even more. You know, you can go all through the entire alphabet here of things that are available. Quite a few available in this category. I don't see a search functionality, however, to search for anything, which is kind of interesting. You should be able to search for something. But let's go back, get out of the work category. Let's go over to develop and see what's available there. And so we do have other software here, and a lot of these I don't even recognize. Bluefish editor, boxes I'm familiar with. This is virtual machine virtualization within Linux. We've got CMake, and going on down here, we've got DB browser for SQLite. So if you're using the SQLite database manager, you can use this to browse it. We've got, what else we have here? Emacs, okay, editor, and Emacs terminal. And going on down, we have Genie, and we have GNU Radio Companion. And so, you know, we've got a lot of stuff here as well. Let's go back and let's look at Socialize and see what we have in there. Just kind of perusing this. Not really going into depth. We've got Aggregator, we've got Angelfish web browser. It's another web browser. I've never used it, but I've heard about it. We've got Carburetor. I've never even heard of that one. That's the Onion routing application. Interesting name for it. Chromium web browser. Of course, that's the Chromium, not the Chrome. Claws Mail. I've used Claws Mail before. Pretty good. Got several here as well, guys. Quite a few. Feeds, the newsfeed reader rather, for GNOME. I use my own newsfeed reader. Don't use that one. It's RSS newsfeed reader. And let's see here. GFTP I've used a lot. I use that all the time. So let's go ahead and click on it, bring it up, and so when you bring it up like this, you have an option here. You would if we had Flatpak installed, and we'll do that here in a moment. But you've got the Debian GNU Linux version of GFTP. I'm going to go ahead and install it, and if we decide we want to do the Flatpak version later, we can uninstall it and install Flatpak. So let's go ahead and hit the install button. It's going to ask you for credentials, and so let me go ahead and put that in. And click the authenticate button, and it should begin the install process. Sorry, it didn't work. Oh, must have mistyped it. Okay, so it's not looking for my sudo password. It must be looking for root password. Yeah. All right, so you got to put the root password in. I forgot that. That's the administrator of the system, not the sudo password. So it's installing right now. It's preparing the package, and then it will do the install and complete. So it completed. Didn't take very long. And we can go ahead and just open GFTP if we want to by clicking that button. So here it is. This is the GFTP. The version is 2.9.1, and it's a beta. So I would say this is old. Now, you notice this is a smaller, and if you want to expand it, the way to do that, since you don't have any expansion icons up here, is just to bring that up to the top of the screen, and it will make it full screen. If you want to not make it full anymore, you can just grab the top banner, bring it down. Okay, so that's how you do it. So I've discovered where you search for packages. I did not know that that was where it was. If we go back here, and there is a, as you can see, a search bar right there, and if you click it, that opens up this little window, and you can type in, let's say looking for GIMP, and to see if GIMP is installed. And sure enough, GNU Image Manipulation Program is installed. It tells us that. If you click on this, it actually brings you to this screen where you can then click Open, and on the Open button, and bring it up. And this is GIMP 2.1.0, by the way. And if you want that to be full screen, do likewise what you did with GFTP. Let's bring it to the top of the screen, and there you are. Okay, so let's go back. I want to look at something else here. We've looked at, let's get out of this. Let's go to Explore. We've looked at this, and what I failed to show you earlier was you can scroll down, and there are other categories. There's codecs and fonts and input sources that you can take advantage of here as well. So let's get out of that now. So, all right, close that, go back to Activities, and now let's go to Help. There's a Help function here, and from what I can see, it's pretty good. You got visual overview of GNOME, and log out and power off or switch users. It tells you about that here. Starting applications, you can click on that, and it gives you a lot of detail on starting applications, etc., etc. There's information about your desktop, networking, web and email, sound and media, files, folders, and search, users and systems. If you click on that, it gives you all this detail here about anything you probably ever want to know but afraid to ask. You don't see this kind of thing in Ubuntu. I haven't seen this in Ubuntu. It may exist, I don't know, but and I've used Ubuntu quite a bit, but not recently. So it may have something like this. Let me go ahead and close that out altogether. Now let's go to Activities again, and let's go down here to the Show Applications. If I click on that, it's going to bring up the entire array of applications or packages that are currently installed on your system. So rather than go through all of them, I'll just show you that, a couple of in each line: contacts, clocks. Here's aggregator, calculator. That's one to have. Settings. We'll get to that in a moment. Terminal, and chess and cheese. So if you click that arrow or one of the buttons or dots down here, it goes to the next 3 rows of applications. And so we've got GwenView, which is image viewer, Kate, KCalc, and KConnect. I guess you can see I have KDE Plasma installed. KDE system settings, Kmail, and console, which is the KDE version of the terminal. And next 3 rows, you've got Korganizer, Kwrite, Mahjong, music. If you're a gamer, I like to play games. Go for it. I'm not a gamer. Robots, Shotwell, Spectacle for capturing your screen. I like Flame Shot. I will install it in here. This is a virtual machine, so it's not a big deal. And let's go to the last 2 rows: Sweeper, and System Monitor, and Tetravex. That looks interesting. Text Editor and GFTP that we just installed. Okay, so we've seen all of the things that we can see pretty much down here in this panel. So let's go back to Activities. Let's come across the top. We've got calendar here. So if you click it, it brings up the calendar. Today is the 20th of June. You can do a do not disturb on here so you don't get disturbed while you're working. No notifications, in other words. Here's a listing of today's events, and you can add world clocks here if you like. Come up and you can just add all the world clocks you want. I'm in Asheville. That's my current time. And to add a clock, you would just hit the plus sign, and let's say I wanted London. All right, so I've got United Kingdom, and I click add, and there it is. And so it's 5 hours later. It's 20:44 military time in London, and that is probably UTC as well. I think that we are UTC is +5 for us. I'm in the Eastern Time Zone, United States. All right, so let's go You've got alarms, you've got stopwatch, you've got timer. So you even got a timer here. You've got pancake menu here, so you can look at keyboard shortcuts, help, and about clocks. And let's just go ahead and close that. Okay, let's go back in. I think, did we miss anything? No. All right. All right, now across the top on the right here, we've got our pull down, which has things like, I'm not quite sure what that is. It might be a snippet, take a snapshot or something. Yeah, screen window. Yeah, you can take snapshots with this little icon right there. All right, let me go ahead and close that. Let's open it again. All right, so you've got this gear, and on the gear, that's for doing your wallpapers and changing your styles. Did not know that that was there. It's just nice to have. All right, so let's go ahead and close this and reopen that. Here we can lock the screen. Here are our power settings. We can do suspend, restart, power off, log off. Here we can change the brightness of the screen. Here we have a wired connection, and we can change that to something else if we want. I do not wish to do that, and so let's go back. And now you can log out as well. And so you've got you can even balance things here. Okay, for power saver, you can turn power saver on if you like. Okay, so one thing we haven't looked at is the settings, and so let's go back into the applications and go to settings here. All right, and so I guess we did look at settings, we just didn't look off to the left. So we've got network settings, Bluetooth, we've got appearance, all kinds of appearance, notification, search, multitasking. We have a bunch of applications that we've already looked at. And privacy settings, online accounts, sharing, sound, power. So under power, we can do a balanced or power saver. It's currently on power saver, and I did that up here. Displays, I could have gone straight to the display here. Under settings, and that's 1920 by 1080, 16 by 9 aspect ratio, 100% scale, so that's good. It's what I want it to be. Mouse and touchpad. So if you had I have a mouse here on the desktop, but not a touchpad. Keyboard, printers. I do have a printer, and it says that to unlock add printer. So I need to unlock it. It's probably going to ask me for credentials. All right, and nope, looking for root credentials. Keep forgetting that. All other Linux distros uses your sudo credentials. So put the root credentials in. Now it brings up it's unlocked it. I can add a printer. Let's see if it searches for and finds my printer. I've got a HP Envy. Brought up cups. If I click on cups and click add, yeah, it's not adding my printer, it's adding a cups printer, and I have to go in and configure it, so I'm not going to mess with that right now. Removable media, color. We're on a virtual machine, so that I kind of suspected it would not find my printer with a virtual machine, so it's not a big deal. It did find, I do have Debian12 Bookworm installed on my laptop, wirelessly connected, and it automatically found my HP Envy printer, so I'm not concerned. Removable printer, color, regions and language, accessibility, users. So I can add, I've only got Dan Calloway here, so I can add a user. Let's add, I've got to unlock that as well. That's right. So let me do that. I'll just add a test user here. So let's add a user. And let's call this person test user. Test user. And test user is the username. Let's make him administrator as well. And users, that's password on first login. Or we can set the password now. So let's just leave it at sets password on first login. And so if that's the case, we don't put anything in here. We're not using an enterprise login. We're not logging into an Active Directory domain services domain. So let's go ahead and add. So that should add test user here. Okay, so let's get out of this and let's log off and test it. So let's log off or log out and come back to the login screen and see if we can log in as test user. There it is. It's test user, and I will put in a password. Retype it. And let's see, voila, here we are. So that test user has his own desktop, just like as you would suspect, and it's going to the welcome screen and doing all that. I'm not going to go through that right now, so let's close that out. And so it worked just fine. And let's do a power off. No, let's do a restart. Let's do a restart and show you what a restart looks like. It's restarting now, and we're on the Debian GNU option. Okay. And there we are. So let's log back in as Dan Calloway. And I'm logged back in. Okay, the last thing I want to show you in here is I want to first of all get into the terminal and set the terminal up, and then I want to install Flatpaks, and then uninstall a couple of Debian packages and install Flatpaks in their place. So let me get out here to the applications and let's get to the terminal, and I'm going to click on that, bring the terminal up. Alright, so I normally configure this for my liking, so I don't like this at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the plus sign here, and, oh, not the plus sign, I'm sorry. Let's go to here and go to Preferences, and let's bring this down where I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to click on the plus sign next to Profiles, put in Data Pioneer as the profile, so it matches my username. Alright, I'm going to change this to 125 for columns, number of columns, and for rows 35. Okay, I'm going to do a custom font, so I'll put a check mark in that box, and then I'm going to click the plus sign, and under here where it is the font size, click the plus and bump it up to, let's just bump it up to 15. And then select, okay, and then come over to colors, and I don't want to use the system colors. I want to come down here, so I'm going to uncheck this box and then hit the arrow and come down to solarized dark. I usually like that. And then once I've got that done, I want to come over and hit the down arrow here and say set as default, okay, for Data Pioneer. Alright, so let's close the terminal. Let's get back up to Activities and come back over to here, and let's right click on the terminal and pin that to the dash so we don't have to keep doing this. Alright, so let's click that and bring that up. So here we go. Here's my terminal now. That's what I like. Alright, so I'm going to bump it up a little more in case you can't see it. Alright, so there we go. That should be big enough. And let's go back to Activities, and let's go over to another workspace. And here I want to launch the Firefox web browser. And Firefox, come on Firefox, ESR, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to go to a website that I have called linuxcapable.com, and then I'm going to go to a page on there which is how linuxcapable.com, how to install Flatpak on Debian Linux. Alright, and this is going to be my guide in doing this. Okay, so here we are. It's a three-step process and to install the Flatpaks on Debian. The first step is to update the Debian Linux before we get started. And so we want to do a sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade. and I believe it's updated, but let's go ahead and just verify that. So let's do a sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade and -y and put in the password. The Pioneer is not in the sudoers list. Okay, we can fix that. And so to fix that, what we need to do is do a su to root. Yeah, we're logged in as root. Let's do a vi sudo. And it doesn't understand the visudo. Okay. Get into the sudoers file, and let's come down here to the section where you add individuals. I can do it by group, but I want to do it here by individuals. And so here I'm going to do I'm going to do Data Pioneer tab all equals all, and there's a rationale for this and beyond the scope of this video, but I can explain what all this means. So let's tab down. Now let's save the file. Control X, yes, and close. And let's log in now as Data Pioneer. Do a su dash Data Pioneer. All right, clear screen. Okay, and so let's rerun the command that we ran earlier, or let's go ahead and just redo it. Sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade and a -y. Enter the sudo password for Data Pioneer. Should work this time. Oh, I'm going to enter the password correctly. Okay, it worked, and so it looks like it's updated. Okay, so now that it's updated, let's go back to screen here and to the terminal, to the browser. And step 2 of the process is to install the Flatpak, and so we need to run sudo apt install Flatpak. All right, so let's go back and let's clear the screen, clean up the terminal, and run sudo apt install Flatpak. And it's running now. All right, so that's completed. So let's clear the screen, clean up the terminal. Let's go back over and see what else we need to do. Step 3 of the process. So now in step 3, we need to enable FlatHub, okay? And so we have to run this command. So I need to copy this command rather than type it all out. Let's do a copy, right-click and copy. Let's go activities and go back, and now let's do a control shift and V to paste that in the terminal and run it. Okay, so that's completed. All right, so let's go back and see if there's anything else we need to do. Yep, there's the step 4. All right, so step 4 is to just simply reboot the system. Let me bring that up to full screen. And we'll need to do section 2, launching Flatpak GUI. So we'll need to run this, and I think that will be all we'll need to do. So let's do reboot the system now. So let's go back to activities and back over here, and we can reboot the system by just doing should just be able to do a restart, I think it is. Nope, doesn't recognize that. Sudo reboot. Okay. All right, and hit the enter key. And let me go ahead and log in. Okay, I'm back in the system now, and the reboot, by the way, was to make sure that the system's running okay, first of all. But more importantly, it's designed to make sure that any changes you made to the system are taken in effect, so that rebooting will make sure that that happens. So let's go back to Activities and come back over to the browser, and let's bring it up to the full screen here. And now the last thing we need to do is install GNOME software here, and this is so we can access the Flatpak applications via the graphical interface. And so let me copy this, and let me right click and copy, and then we'll need to go back and get our terminal again. So let's bring up the terminal. I'm just going to put it on top of this one here, and so let me just I'm going to just do a right click and paste here, and paste it in, and then go ahead and hit enter. So we do the sudo password. All right, and that's done. All right, so we should now be able to, let me go ahead and exit out of this. We should now be able to run Flatpak software from the Software Center. So let's go over to the Software Center. Let's bring that up. I'm going to close the browser. I don't need that anymore. And bring that down. And actually, let me bring it up to full screen so you can see it. All right. It says that software needs to be restarted to use the new plugins. Okay, so this means that what we did was effective. Otherwise, we wouldn't get this warning here, or not warning, but message. So we need to restart so that now the Software Center recognizes that we have the Flatpak integration in here. So let's do a restart now. And it's downloading software catalog for Flatpaks. Good sign. This may take a few minutes, so if it does, I may stop the video and pick it back up when we are finished. Okay, looks like it's done, so I'm going to go ahead and launch the Software Center again. And here it is. And so let's go and let's pull up the Firefox web browser. Okay. And so let's click on it. And if we come over here, we have Firefox, and it's Mozilla, which means it's the original Firefox. It is not the ESR version. And if you come over here, you'll see we have FlatHub. We have Flatpak, okay? And so what we can do is install this version of Firefox. Let's go ahead and click the install button and let it install. We can actually delete the other one if we wanted to, but we can run these side by side because this is a different version of Firefox. Let's get the authentication. So it's installing now. And this may take a little while as well, depending on what it pulls down and installs in our system. So it looks like it's about 85% or 81% right now. All right, here we go. I think it's about ready to finish. There we are. So it's completed. And so now we can go ahead and open. It's loading the application details. All right, so let's go ahead and open Firefox. Bring it up. All right, so here we are. And I'm going to go ahead and close the Software Center for now. And this is the version of Firefox that's from Mozilla. This is not the ESR version. And so let's do the setup in seconds. Let's see what that is. Okay, let's just skip this page. And let's skip this page. And let's just start browsing. Okay, so if we go up to the pancake menu, come down to Help, and About Firefox, we should see that this is Firefox from Mozilla, Firefox Flatpak, and it's version 114.0.2. Remember I told you earlier that I thought the latest version was 114, so now what we've done is we have the latest version, even though this is not supplied out of the box with Debian12 64-bit, and that's good. All right, so let's go ahead and close it. And Debian12 Bookworm is what I was trying to think of. All right, so let's test it, make sure it's working okay. And let's go to Debian.org, and sure enough, it's working great. So, in fact, I think this web browser is faster than the extended support release version. All right, and so let's go ahead and close this. So we probably have both of those now on our system. We can go ahead and right-click and unpin that one from our pane at the bottom. And let's go out and let's search for Firefox. And this is the Firefox we just installed. Let's right-click and pin that to the dash. All right, and then once we've pinned that to the dash, let's go ahead and move it back to where it was. All right, so okay, so let's go back and now let's launch it one more time. That's great. Okay. And so this is saying open previous tabs. That's okay. Let's just go ahead and close that out. All right, so it looks like it was successful. So we didn't uninstall the ESR. I just left it there. But I took it off of the menu at the bottom of the screen so that we can launch this one when we want a browser and not worry about launching the extended support release version. All right, so let's look at looking at LibreOffice. And so let's just type in LibreOffice. Okay, and so let's do the LibreOffice. There, that should be the full suite. Yeah. All right, and so let's go up to Help and About, see what we have. This is the 7.4.5.1 version, okay? And so what I want to do is close that again, come up and Activities, and let's go to the Software Center. And let's type in LibreOffice here. All right, and so it says it's installed. And let's go down here to LibreOffice Productivity Suite. And let's click on that. And this is the LibreOffice FlatHub. Okay, so down arrow, that's just the FlatHub. So let's go ahead and install the FlatHub version. All right. Let that install, and so we'll have this side by side with the other one, and then we can uninstall LibreOffice later if you wanted to. For now, I'm just going to go ahead. This video is already long enough, so I'm just going to go ahead and not uninstall the previous version. I'm just going to install the FlatHub version and show you that we're going to get a much updated version. We're going to get 7.5 something, I think, and the one that actually the developers recommend that we use. It's almost completed. Okay, it's wrapping up now. It should be installed shortly. There we go. All right, so let's go ahead and open the FlatHub version of LibreOffice. Here we are. So let's go up to Help and About LibreOffice, and you can see we're running 7.5.4.2.2. Okay, x86-64. So this is the latest version, and it is the recommended version to run. So let's close that out, and let's go up and let's pull down this Draw, Impress, Calc, Writer. So let's go ahead and open up Writer. All right, and that opened up immediately. That's very good. So if we do a Help and About here, it is, yeah, 7.5.4.2. All right. Okay, so let's close this out. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video here. In the second part of this video, we did a product review of Debian12 Bookworm. We looked at the applications that are available. We looked at how to go about installing Flatpak in Debian12 so that we could upgrade our packages. And we did that with two of those. One with Firefox. We upgraded from Firefox extended support version to a release version to the Mozilla version, which is the latest and greatest 114.x version. And then we went to LibreOffice and upgraded it from 7.4 to 7.5x by installing a Flatpak. Now you could go ahead and on your own, when you install yours, let's go ahead and uninstall both the the Firefox rather, ESR, and I'm sure you know how to do that through the terminal, and uninstall the LibreOffice too. Now, uninstalling LibreOffice is a little bit trickier, so you'll need to research that to figure out what all you need to uninstall, because it's more than just sudo apt remove LibreOffice. All right, and so I'll put links to everything that we covered here down below the video in the show notes, so that you don't have to go searching for it yourself. If you liked part 2 of the series, two-part series on Debian12 Bookworm, please hit that thumbs up. It supports my channel. And if you haven't subscribed to me, go ahead and hit the subscribe button as well. So this has been Data Pioneer from the Linux Unix Tech Channel. Hope you've had a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.